Long ago in a faraway kingdom, there lived a young girl who loved to cry. She cried every day, morning, noon, and night. Why? No one knew, not her parents or the people of the kingdom. But no one liked that she was always crying. The girl's name was Amara. Amara lived in a beautiful castle made of white marble with pointed towers that touched the clouds. It had courtyards full of flowers, stables with horses, and even an underground tunnel that led straight to the beach. The tunnel was secret, and only Amara knew about it. Every afternoon, when the sun was high in the sky and the heat made everyone lazy, Amara would slip out of the castle through the secret tunnel and go straight to the sea. There she would sit on a rock and cry until sunset. The waves would crash against the rock, and the salty water would mix with her tears. And then she would cry some more. One day, the king and queen were looking out of the window of their bedroom. Every time they looked out of the window, they saw Amara playing in the courtyard. They couldn't see what she was doing because the wall was too high and the bushes were thick, but they could see her shadow moving from one place to another. "Why is our daughter always in the courtyard?" asked the queen. "I don't know," said the king, "but let's ask her." They went to the courtyard, but all they saw was Amara's shadow moving from one place to another. "Stop for a moment," said the king. "Why are you always in the courtyard? What are you doing there?" Amara stopped. She turned around and said, "I was just playing." "Playing what?" asked the queen. "Playing with my shadow," said Amara. The king and queen were confused. They couldn't understand what Amara was saying. Then they went back to their room, sat on the bed, and started thinking. After a while, the king said, "Let's send for the royal advisor." Soon, the royal advisor entered the room and sat down. The king and queen explained everything to him. How Amara was always in the courtyard, how they couldn't see what she was doing, and how she said she was just playing with her shadow. The royal advisor thought for a moment. "This is a strange problem," he said, "but I think I can help. Your daughter seems to be spending most of her time in the courtyard. Why don't we build a taller wall around the courtyard and block the view from the window?" The king liked the idea, so the royal advisor called some workers and told them to build a taller wall around the courtyard. And soon the workers finished the wall, and the king and queen could no longer see into the courtyard. Then the king and queen went to Amara and asked, "Now tell us, what were you playing in the courtyard?" "Oh, nothing," said Amara. "It was just a game." And after that, she went out into the courtyard and started playing with her shadow. The next day, the king and queen were sitting in the garden when they saw Amara running through the courtyard. She was laughing and having fun. "Look at her," said the queen. "She seems happy now." "Yes," said the king. "But why?" Just then, Amara came to them and said, "Mother, father, I want to play with you." "What do you want to play?" asked the queen. "Let's play a game of hide and seek," said Amara. "All right," said the king. "Let's start the game." Mara ran away, and the king and queen started counting. 1, 2, 3, they said. Then Amara stopped and hid behind a tree. The king and queen searched for her everywhere, but they couldn't find her. They looked under the bushes, behind the flowers, and inside the fountains, but Amara was nowhere to be seen. Finally, they gave up. "We can't find her," said the king. "Let's ask the royal advisor if he knows where she is." "Good idea," said the queen. So they went to the royal advisor and asked, "Have you seen Amara?" "No," said the royal advisor. "But why don't you look in the courtyard? She likes to play there." The king and queen thanked the royal advisor and went back to the courtyard. There they saw Amara's shadow moving from one place to another. "There she is," said the queen. "She's playing with her shadow again." The king and queen were confused. They couldn't understand why Amara was always playing with her shadow. "Why do you play with your shadow?" asked the queen. "Because it's fun," said Amara. "It's my best friend." "But your shadow isn't real," said the king. "It's just a dark shape made by the light of the sun." "Maybe," said Amara, "but it's still my best friend." The king and queen didn't understand this, but they were happy that Amara was playing with them, and so they played with her in the courtyard until sunset. From that day on, the king and queen played with Amara every day, and Amara was never alone. She never went to the sea to cry. Instead, she spent her time in the courtyard, playing with her parents and her shadow. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived by the sea. The girl loved to play on the beach, build sandcastles, and collect seashells. But most of all, she loved to listen to the sound of the waves crashing on the shore. One day, the girl was playing on the beach when she saw something strange. A bottle was floating in the water, bobbing up and down with the waves. The girl waded into the water and grabbed the bottle. She pulled it closer to her and saw that it was sealed with a cork. Curious, the girl sat down on the sand and tried to pull out the cork. When the bottle finally opened, a piece of paper fluttered out. The girl unfolded the paper and saw that it was a message. In elegant script, the message read, "Whoever finds this bottle will have their wish granted." The girl stared at the message in disbelief. Could this be true? She wondered. For a moment, the girl thought about the wish she would make if the message was real. She thought about having all the toys she wanted, being the prettiest girl in town, or having wings like a bird so she could fly and see the world from above. But then she looked at the sea and thought of all the fish and other creatures that lived there. She thought of the whales and dolphins, leaping and playing in the waves, and the colorful coral reefs teeming with life. The girl realized that she didn't want anything for herself. She wanted the same for others. So when the girl made her wish, she wished for everyone to be kind to each other. She wished for the world to be filled with love and happiness. And as she made her wish, the girl felt a warm feeling inside her heart. And that's when the magic happened. The girl looked around her and saw that the world was indeed different. The people who had been arguing were now holding hands and singing. The birds in the trees were flapping their wings and dancing in the sky. Even the trees themselves seemed to be swaying and smiling. The girl smiled back at the trees and knew that her wish had come true. From that day on, the girl continued to visit the beach and make wishes for the world to be a better place. And whenever she did, the world listened.